Today is the first day in a week to remember, and the booms are coming loud and fast as the mainstream media ratchets down their attacks on Trump while at the same time ignoring the breaking, unfolding, huge story in Arizona of child trafficking camps and their connection to some of what we talk about here on these boards. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, I start every episode by saying thank you to every one of my subscribers because I'm truly grateful for all your contributions and your ability to come here and help out this channel. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified because as soon as information is made available to me, I make it available to you. So jumping right into the Q post, look at this, all right? We have our prediction of forward what is going to happen. And this has been noted by people as being a shape of a gun, the way that the words are assembled. And I incorrectly called this the trigger last time. Q is actually the hammer. It would appear on this portrayal. And he tells us there's a week to remember, dark to light, blackout necessary, Q. So we have a huge week coming ahead, and it would make sense because Q gave us this countdown almost. He gave us a 30-day countdown a while back, right? And that 30-day countdown actually runs out on June 11th, which is actually June 11th at 9 p.m. now is where the scheduled meeting between Kim Jong-un and Trump will take place. Oh yeah, it's just a coincidence, right? Even though it was kind of known about, wasn't known, and yeah, so listen, imagine this. We have all these confirmations of Q that keep coming out. And if you guys want to know more about Q or you want to red pill your family or friends, take them over here to this landing page or share this link to this video. And even if you know a lot about Q and you haven't seen this video yet, I encourage you to watch it. It'll give you a lot of research tools. It'll give you a lot of, just if you want to get more involved with QAnon, which it's open to everybody who wants to join in. We're all AN0Ns in this fight together. So if you want to get involved, you can get more information about that here. And also go back and watch some of my videos if you want to catch up on the latest Q posts and what's been going on this channel in the past. But he's telling us that there's a week to remember. And I think it's a forward projection that there's a week ahead to remember. And that week will conclude on the 10th in the afternoon of June, which will be one day before the 30-day marker is up. And it's going to be a week of booms where dark is going to be coming to light. And the blackout that we're not hearing a lot from Q has been necessary. So he may intermittently come in and tell us certain things because I don't think he's referring to himself being unavailable. Other than the blackout is what he's talking about from his perspective or their perspective and not being able to put posts up, but they may hopefully reach out and keep contacting us with more posts and keeping us up to date with what's going on. But we have this incredible story, and I think the booms are coming. So first, before we get into the story I'm going to cover first, I want to let you guys know that at the end of this video, we're going to update what's going on in Arizona, and we have even more information that's going to, that's blowing people's minds and actually connects back to Q posts, which are basically related to a company and a port in California and the Mexican border. This is incredible stuff, you guys. And it's all breaking day by day. And this could be one of the booms that Q is talking about, what's going on in Arizona and what it's actually unfolding to uncover, because it looks like it's involving the Soroses, the Rothschilds. It looks like there's a big, there's something bigger connected to what these veterans have discovered in this child trafficking camp. And we're going to talk about that at the end of the episode. So stick around for that. But first, we're going to talk about the appointment of special counsel. I'll read this Trump tweet because I think this is what one of the big booms is coming down the pipe, and I'm going to explain to you why what's going on with Trump is just this complete farce, in my opinion, and it's incredible the way the media is trying to spin this to basically malign and to actively work against the duly elected president of the United States. But his tweet here: the appointment of special counsel is totally unconstitutional. Despite that, we play the game because I, unlike the Democrats, have done nothing wrong. Yes, this could not have been a more concise and perfectly worded tweet by the president, because it outlines exactly what is going on here. Special counsel Mueller's investigation of Trump is unconstitutional. The scope was originally to find out if Donald Trump was involved with colluding with the Russians. Now they're big, this is the one, is their big storyline that they're pushing now is the lawyer's confidential letter to Mueller. Now you have a confidential letter that's been leaked to the press. Trump has insinuated it is possible that this was purposefully released to the press. And if that is the case, then, I mean, this is the type of corruption we're dealing with. This is the type of unhinged discord that is going on within our government, where people are just leaking letters in confidential senses. And now their big storyline is this, okay? Now, that this letter that was sent from Trump's lawyers to Robert Mueller explaining how Mueller was going to use his subpoena power to basically affect the midterm election by giving Trump, as I've said before, a metaphorical political black eye, and thereby actually influence the election to get a blue wave, to get a House that is majority Democrat, that in turn will be able to bring the terms of impeachment against the president, which will mire his next 2 years in office, which will then lead to him being possibly brought up for impeachment proceedings further, and also affect his ability to become reelected in the 2020 election cycle. So this is their big story, though. This is hyperbolic CNN. What is it now? What has Trump done now? The White House just caught in a lie about the famous or infamous Trump Tower meeting. Oh, you know what? Obviously, if you watch CNN for 5 minutes, you know that everything they seem to do is the most hyperbolic of media that you can find out there. And this story is interesting, okay? So what this story is basically saying is that the White House press secretary, Sarah Sanders, said in no uncertain terms, basically, that her knowledge at the time when the question was being asked about this letter, the letter in question is a letter written by Donald Trump Jr. that was meant to describe his interaction with a Russian lawyer who came to him and apparently said she had dirt on Hillary Clinton that she could share with Donald Trump Jr. Now, let me ask you something. Was the president at this meeting? No. Was he colluding with the Russians? No. Okay. Did anything come out of this meeting? Apparently not. And yet, they're using this as their smoking gun, their proof beyond proof that Donald Trump is colluding with the Russians. Because of this, because they said that Donald Trump knew nothing about the letter that basically said that it was a meeting about adoption, and they didn't say it wasn't about getting dirt on Hillary. They just said it was about adoption. They didn't mention that it was about getting dirt on Hillary. But this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, because anybody with half a brain cell at that point knew about Hillary and knew about the WikiLeaks emails and knew there was stuff going on, and we were already putting all this information together. The fact that the Russians went to Donald Trump Jr. and sent some spy or whoever, some lawyer, not a spy, of course, to go and try to sow seeds of doubt in the Trump campaign against Hillary. Well, the seeds of doubt were already sown. And the whole point of the meeting is, if they're dealing with them in the back channel, well, you would want to listen to the people you're going to eventually be dealing with, right? You don't have to do anything. You can listen. It's not a crime for somebody to speak at you and give you information, unless you live in certain other countries like the UK right now, where Tommy Robinson is still, I believe, locked up under the charges of basically just reporting the truth. But this is what we're dealing with here. The White House is trying to figure out how to deal with this. And CNN is just they're targeting the president. And just like other factions are targeting other conservative voices on the internet, they know who they are. It's not even about having a conservative voice. It's almost about having a voice of truth and trying to expose this big corruption. And then all of a sudden you get shut down and you get admonished and you get put down. But faith in God is what's going to deliver us. So just everyone out there who's going through this, if you're watching this, remember God is good and he'll take care of you. And the whole point of this, though, I'm getting into a more tangential rant here about this particular thing, but it's important because my feeling is starting to go with my gut. My gut's starting to tell me that the whole meeting that was set up, it was part of the big lies. If you look at Donald Trump's tweet, he's the president of the United States, and he's saying that it's unconstitutional. And he has access to the best legal minds this country has to offer. Some of the best constitutional lawyers you could ever imagine. And this is the counsel that he's receiving, that the special counsel, everything they've done from day one has been basically unconstitutional because they were using the law enforcement agency, top law enforcement agency, and the top judicial agency in the United States to spy on President Trump's campaign for the Obama administration and subsequently the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign. And it seems like they were putting all of the things in place they would need to make this extended, first the special counsel, then an impeachment, and then to get him out of office. Like they were setting this up as an insurance policy against the president of the United States. And I feel like I'm the only one here, besides me and a small band of men and women here on all their other media platforms, who are basically just saying, look, no, this is not true. The narrative that you're getting at a place like CNN, that they're just twisting words and they're making it about something that it wasn't even about, right? They're trying to make it about this whole Russia thing, and they're just trying to turn it into how he's colluding with Russia when there's no true evidence of any type of collusion. A meeting with a lawyer about where she may or may not have mentioned WikiLeaks to the Donald Trump's son was not like some breaking news at the time. I'm sure, first of all the intelligence agencies knew this was coming. If you were studying this stuff, you knew it was coming. You could see WikiLeaks was hinting at dropping all of this information, and we were basically anticipating it for quite some time. And then it gets dropped, and it's like it uncovers this whole amazing story, if it weren't so evil and corrupt, about the Podestas and Clintons and the DNC. And the whole point that they're trying to tell us is that lawyers admit that Trump dictated the response to the Tower meeting despite denials. So first, Trump says, I had nothing to do with that letter. That's between my son. He took a meeting, and that's between him and them. And if he wants to write a letter where he says he didn't talk about Russia, or he didn't mention it, then he can do that. And then later, the President Trump goes, well, okay, I dictated in this confidential letter to Mueller. He basically, his lawyers admit that he dictated the letter to his son. What's the difference? He dictated the letter to his son saying, look, you made a mistake. You sat down with the Russians. You didn't know. You probably made an innocent mistake. You didn't know this lady was connected. Maybe you were talking about adoption, and then she brought up out of nowhere Russia and how they could help, and he probably made, what if Donald Trump Jr. is completely innocent, which I believe he is, and he just was like, all right, well, I need to get out of here, and if you're not, I don't want to, we'll be glad to talk, but I don't need to or even if he said, what information do you have? What's wrong with that? Because we all have critical thought, the ability to say, okay, you said something, I don't have to believe you. I don't take you at everything I hear at face value. I put critical thought into the words that I speak, right? And here's the funniest thing. You put in, and this is the Google that we live in, the Googleopolis that we live in. It is, you put in Sanders lie into the search bar, and the first thing you get, which I thought was hilarious, was Jim Acosta. It's like, oh, okay, I know. I mean, for those of you who don't know, I mean, to me, Jim Acosta is just the most unobject or he's incapable of being objective is what I would describe him as, among other things, to be kind and not cast dispersion on others. Just seriously, this person is, you gotta, if you don't know about Jim, he's just his own person, really. Um, and now you have hope, though. You have hope coming, and that is that this could be one of the booms too. You know, this just came out today, that the Justice Department's going to add more than 300 assistant U.S. attorneys. Why do you think they would need 300 U.S. attorneys more? Probably because they have a lot of cases they're going to be prosecuting here soon, and they're building in the process. Guys, remember, I've heard numbers that range to crazy land, with 30,000 up to 30,000 sealed indictments. I've heard. Can you imagine how much process and how much time that's going to take? And then you have things like Harvey Weinstein, who looks like maybe coming up on RICO charges. How is that going to unfold? And that's going to tie into, believe it or not, that's going to tie into the Vets for Child Rescue, the Vets on Patrol, Team Pulaski, that's there in Arizona, in Tucson, at the child trafficking camp that we're going to talk about here in just 1 second. So this is truly, you know, this is it. This is the big push right now. I think these are the big booms. Everybody wanted arrests. They wanted action. They want to see boots on the ground and things happening. And this is happening right now before our eyes. Okay? Right now in Arizona, you guys come here to @Justin_formed on Twitter, and you can check out all this information about it. And there's even more if you just punch in the hashtag Operation Backyard Brawl. Even though it seems that Twitter definitely is trying to keep that limited. You can barely get any search results, even though I'm sure it's trending, and I'm sure there's a lot of people talking about it. But this is what is going on. And, you have these basically child trafficking cells and other things being exposed here in Tucson. And what is this all connected to? Well, as I said before, where we last left with the last update is that Team Alpha, or the Vets on Patrol there, Team Pulaski, are basically occupying it. And the way that it's legal for them to occupy this, I've neglected to mention this in the first video, so I think it's important to mention it, is that there's regulations that provide that if a company is not doing its job to enforce federal regulation on their property and land, and they've left it in a neglectful state, then a third party actually may enter and perform those maintenances that are specified by federal law, and they can legally and lawfully do it. Now, in this particular case, the laws that were being basically not followed at this camp were laws with regard to, I believe, like fencing and closing off a strip mine, because it's a closed strip mine and there's no actual mining going on anymore. So I think there's regulations about how fencing must be set up and how it all has to be kind of closed off from entry, because it is basically a rule, a federal law. And that's the pretense under which the veterans have occupied this camp. And that's important to note, because a lot of people want to say, is this illegal or is this legal? Well, the reason the police haven't really stepped in yet, and as of my last checking on the updates, which was last night, really early yesterday morning, or early this morning, I should say, is that they're in cooperation with these laws, and they're merely trying to enforce law, and they're actually trying to draw investigators in. But I think the reason the FBI and other organizations, or law enforcement organizations, are afraid to go in and look at all this evidence that they've uncovered with the child cells and the bindings for children, it's sick stuff, is because this actually, I believe, sits on some sort of reservation, an Indian reservation that has connections to some pretty nefarious stuff, in my opinion. And that in and of itself is preventing the federal intervention, because they probably won't allow it to happen on their land. More information about that is available, and we will get into that in later videos. But for now, I'm going to talk about a new set of connections. So recapping last video, this is a 30-year lease by a Mexican corporation in this property. It was an abandoned strip mine where they found these child trafficking camps, basically. And that lease belongs to a company called Cemex. And we established in the last video that Cemex is this company that basically works with concrete. They are basically an international company. They have connections to the Haiti, the Clinton Foundation in Haiti, and building those houses and the whole draw, the fundraising that happened there. And then the subsequent lack of action, in my opinion, on what lack of follow through on in a lot of the promises that were made there in Haiti. And then also Cemex has been tied to George Soros. He holds $41 million worth of shares as far as I last saw, which was less than like March 31st, 2018. He owned $41 million in Cemex. And Cemex is actually stationed at one of the ports. And what port is that and why is that important? Well, I'll show you here in a second. Let's look. First, this is the port of Long Beach, right? And it is here in Southern California, and it is a port where Cemex has one of its main cement offices, right? So what's important to note is that AN0N's actually pointed to this post from Q on April 20th. And it says, Mac is naming names, and that's Allison Mack. And it says, big names in Hollywood, government, local, federal, proof, the Standard Hotel, helicopter crash, all related, future will prove past. Adam Schiff, feeling okay today? Why is the Mexican border at Long Beach port so important? TikTok, LLC, Q. Okay, so bear with me here. Give you a short rundown of what this is referring to. For those of you who are very familiar with this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. But Allison Mack was on a show called Smallville. Allison Mack was picked up by authorities on charges of her participation in a sex cult called NXIVM that was led by Keith Raniere. Keith Raniere is an individual who's been connected to all of the highest elites in Hollywood and government, and he was running this. It's like a sex slavery cult. That was very big. It was huge, actually, and it infiltrated a lot of Hollywood and a lot of other things, according to what Allison Mack has been telling the investigators after she was apprehended. She has decided to help and contribute evidence to the state about what the truth is that's going on. The Standard Hotel is a hotel in California that is in Adam Schiff's district that has some of the weirdest iconography, and their website is just really strange. Pizza related stuff, the kind of weird coded played off as artistic stuff that is dealing with child trafficking, child abuse. So and this hotel is basically implicated because a manager of that hotel was killed in a helicopter crash. And was that all about NXIVM? Because was this hotel being used for more than what it would seem? And my point about Long Beach, Cemex, and the port is that, and remember, this is all in Adam Schiff's district, and he's saying that future will prove past, and he's asking Adam Schiff if he's feeling okay today. But the Mexican border and Long Beach port is so important because I think what we were able to put together is that there's some connection to human trafficking going on at that port from Mexico, which would probably be funneled up from the Caribbean and South America, would be a point of entry for smugglers, and that it's all tied into what's going on at this port and this company that's referenced by Q called TOC LLC. Now, this is all alleged. There's no proof of any of this, but this is just the story as it seems to be breaking according to basically putting all the pieces together of what is said on the Q boards, and then the research that's done independently by the ANONs, and then cross-referencing all of that. TOC is this app, right? And they develop a reservation systems for restaurants and stuff. And now my inclination to think that why TOC was mentioned here by Q, because that's what you get when you search TOC LLC, is that it's somehow and this is all allegation, speculation, there's no proof to verify any of this, but it somehow may be connected to a possible system for managing human trafficking. And I can't even believe I'm saying that because it's so unbelievable that it at least warrants an investigation, because these are questions. There's no allegation yet, basically publicly connecting all these dots, really, especially not in the mainstream media, maybe on some certain sources outside of that. But this is what we're dealing with. It may be all connected. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you think all this makes sense, or it doesn't, or whatever, you have a different take on certain aspects, please share those down in the comments, because this to me is one of the most important stories of our time, really. Because if this actually can unravel and expose a broader conspiracy that's going on, and we can save kids' lives by exposing it, and we can actually help, make the world a safer place, then we should all be in on that, I believe. And speaking of that, I just want to mention that we have this court ruling by the Supreme Court, which I'm very happy that it has ruled this way. Now, the Supreme Court has issued that the Christian baker who tried to say he would not bake a gay couple's wedding cake because of his religious beliefs was vindicated by the ruling 7-2 by the U.S. Supreme Court, after being ruled against by the state commission, the Colorado Civil Rights Commission. And this is vindication not because there's any, and I think Justice Kennedy even wrote in there that we need to know that this is not about gay rights, because it's about religious freedom. Because I have the right to my religious convictions, and you have the right to do whatever you would like. And an important detail in this is also, I believe, that in 2012, when this incident happened, I believe gay marriage was still not legal in the state of Colorado. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that was the circumstance that this case was being viewed through the scope of. And now, understanding that, the U.S. Supreme Court apparently in this decision didn't set any overwhelmingly huge precedents for people being able to deny service based on religious, freedom. But what it did do was it verified that our society cannot dictate religious views and beliefs to those, because the government should never be involved in dictating religion. The government must be completely objective, I believe, in the regard of application of the law. And you can't punish somebody for having a religious belief, I believe. I think that's what the gist of this Supreme, it wasn't against, I believe, gay rights. I think it was more against the persecution of people based on religion. Because you set, there's a slippery slope from there downward, and in all fairness to people to have the right to be, however they want to be, my personal belief is just that the precedent set here was very important, and you cannot, you just can't. I mean, it's called the freedom to go and shop where you'd like. But this is a very controversial issue. So if you guys have any thoughts, please contribute them down there. I just gave you my quick take on it and how important this decision is for the freedom of people to speak and say what they want, because it's about First Amendment rights, and it's about being able to say and not be forced to do something that will violate your religious doctrine. But there's definitely, it's a very tricky situation, and there's no definitively right answer. There's merely the most right answer, I guess I would say. So you guys give me your thoughts down in the comments, but this goes back to what's happening to all of us in Twitter and all the other social media platforms where we share information, then they censor us. That is definitely something that is to be noted. especially for the fact that people who profess to have a religious belief that would compel them to want to expose certain truths because they see them as both morally and ethically wrong, then those people should not be persecuted for their beliefs or targeted for extra censorship by any means, whether it's by human interaction or by censorship algorithms that exist out there. So I just wanted to point to that and say that, it's good to know that the Supreme Court is at least working on being as fair as possible in this circumstance. Because, like I said, there is no right answer here. There's the most right answer. And sometimes it's the best we get in this world. But that's going to be it for this episode. I want to thank you all for watching. Again, please come over here to my Twitter at Justin_formed. If you want to get more information on what's going on in Arizona, if you live in that area, please go down there and, just investigate, see what's going on, talk to the people down there, and you guys you guys figure it out for yourself. Judge for yourself what's going on down there, because I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to say, if you are so interested, please go down there and check it out, and let me know. Come here and comment. If you live near the area and you are able to check it out, let me know, and maybe I'll feature you here on the channel. But that's definitely going to be pretty much it. If you're looking for a way to contribute to the channel, obviously the best way to do it is to come here. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you'll be notified when these videos get posted. The second best way is to scroll down at the end of this video, leave your thoughts, theories, insights, and comments, because we have our own Q research board at the end of each one of these videos, or we try to, at least. It's not really as large, I would say, but it is our attempt at it, and we talk about the posts, we talk about what they can mean, we talk about the stories of the day, we talk about all the information that's not being covered by the mainstream media. So it's important to go down there, and even if you can't comment, just scroll through and read through the comments. You're going to learn something you most likely didn't know before you got started here. And if you're looking for a way to contribute financially, please come over here to Patreon. That's patreon.com. Search Justin Form Talk. Come here to this page. You can become a member at any level. Anything helps. It's a monthly contribution, so I really appreciate that. It helps keep this channel alive, because I deal with certain things that happen, and it's okay. I'm always going to bring you the content free of charge. I make money through my YouTube monetization and over here on Patreon, and I deal with problems with monetization, but that's fine. It's part of the system that I'm working in. I respect the policies and guidelines at YouTube, and I hope that they, just continue to work to get things right and get things better and get things fair for those who are creating content, so that we can all just have a fair shake at presenting information and making a living doing it. So, but contributing on Patreon really helps, so I don't have to rely on that monetization. So please, if you can, come over here and contribute. But that's going to be it for me. Before I leave, I want to talk about the most important thing, and it's God's grace. So here we're going to talk about that for just 1 second. So why is God's grace greater? God's grace is greater because there's joy in life. There's happiness, and we tend to focus a lot here on this channel on the darkness and those who want to harm us and those who want to harm others, and it's important that we fight that by exposing it with truth and with God's wisdom and his inclusion in the conversation, to understand that God is a part of everything in life, and that we have to look to him first if we want to do what is right and do what is good for the world at large. But sometimes we have to say a little prayer for protection, and it actually can help immensely. So I want to say a prayer for you, with you, for all of us. And it's a prayer for protection, and it's Psalm 17, and I know it's probably a favorite of mine. I've surely covered this before, but I like to deliver this to those who are listening Each one of you out there, remember that God loves you and he's going to protect you. So here it is, Psalm 17, and it's a prayer for protection. It says, Lord, hear a just cause. Pay attention to my cry. Listen to my prayer from lips free of deceit. Let my vindication come from you. For you see what is right. You have tested my heart. You have visited by night. You have tried me and found nothing evil. I have determined that my mouth will not sin. Concerning what people do, by the word of your lips, I have avoided the ways of the violent. My steps are on your paths. My feet have not slipped. I call on you, God, because you will answer me. Listen closely to me. Hear what I say. Display the wonders of your faithful love. Savior of all who seek refuge from those who rebel against your right hand. Guard me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings from the wicked, who treat me violently, my deadly enemies who surround me. They have become hardened. Their mouths speak arrogantly. They advance against me. Now they surround me. They are determined to throw me to the ground. They are like a lion eager to tear, like a young lion lurking in ambush. Rise up, Lord. Confront him. Bring him down. With your sword, save me from the wicked. With your hand, Lord, save me from men of the world whose portion is in this life. You fill their bellies with what you have in store. Their sons are satisfied, and they leave their surplus to their children. But I will see your face in righteousness when I awake. I will be satisfied with your presence. Those are powerful words, and that is a prayer for each and every one of you. Amen. And this is important to hear for some of you out there who are just going through tough times, who want to seek God's protection on a daily basis and want to basically have those who are persecuting you or those who are trying to harm you, have them realize that what they do here on this world, it will ultimately come to judgment in God's realm, which is the next world, the afterlife. And we all are subject to that judgment, regardless of whether we believe or not. And it's important to note that God's there for you. He can let you right in. And some of you out there have that strong will and that strong love of God in your hearts. Probably most of you out there listen to this channel, and I appreciate that. But sometimes there are those who aren't feeling the strength of God in their heart, and the love of God. And remember that there is no judgment here other than God's judgment. And what we, tend to bicker about here on the earth will really not amount to much in the afterlife unless we're actually working to do true good against real evil. So I appreciate everyone out there who may or may not be watching this episode and who have expressed the truth of how they feel, and from a position that it might not be the most popular position to be casting a favorable view on my content, but giving truth is so important. And all I can say is that I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful for those out there who understand that there's a larger scheme at hand, and we work every day to just work harder for God and put him first, because no matter what happens, God's grace is greater. And this mission is beyond what I've ever thought I, really could have imagined this mission being. And now it's become about reporting the truth, and at any cost, really, because the truth has to get out there. And that's apparently a part of God's will in my circumstance here, that he's given me the ability to speak, and he's given me a voice, and I pray and I seek his guidance every day to guide my voice, to give me wisdom, to give me courage, to give me understanding, to give me humility, to give me all those important things that I need. And I know that this prayer for protection that we just said is just as much for me as it is for you. So please just remember, I'll be praying for all of you guys out there every day. because I like to open that communication with God every day. And you guys, with your support, I think we'll continue to slowly but surely spread this message of God first, and then of the truth that is, going on behind the scenes. And hopefully, uh, eventually, people like myself and others who have been reporting on this information will be vindicated as telling the truth. So that's going to be it for this episode. If you don't take anything else away from this episode, remember the truth that I know I speak and I don't need to be vindicated for is God's truth, and God's love is real, and it can touch each and every one of your lives. All you have to do is open your heart through a prayer and start that conversation with God, and then build on it from there every single day. But you can have that too. You can become a light and shine out to the world and give hope to others where hope may not be. So remember that, and thank you all for watching. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, now's a great time to do it. Come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. It's free to you, and it helps me out big time. It's like throwing me a buck. Even if you can't contribute financially, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't hit it already, because that's a big help to me. But that's going to be it. I want to say thank you again for watching. This has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.